I come before you today, humbled and humiliated, to ask you for one thing. I want you to kill
All of the dungeon masters out there that aren't using gods to their full potential in their D&D campaigns, wait, maybe not kill. Yeah, no, that's a bit far. No, not kill. Maybe aid. Aid's good. Maybe aid them into showing them that gods can be used in Dungeons and Dragons campaign a lot, and it can work for your world building and in like important interactions with your players. And you know what? Let me just explain. Gods are everywhere in Dungeons and Dragons. Literally, they help shape the world, empower your characters, and influence your story. But they're often underused or treated more like background noise. So let's change that. Here's how to actually use gods in your campaign in a way that makes your world feel more alive and makes your clerics feel a little bit more chosen. You don't need gods in every campaign, but if you got a cleric, a paladin, or even a warlock with a godlike patron, they really should be part of your world. These classes literally get their powers from higher beings. That connection should matter. If a paladin swears an oath to Bahamut, it's worth showing that that oath affects their day-to-day adventuring. I've come to the point in my campaign where my players, whether they play a cleric or a bard, pray to some sort of god because I have my gods a part of my world. It's made the overall game session so much more enjoyable and exciting when the gods among us play more of a role in the story. So where do you find gods, and what do you do when the lore is lacking? The Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook from 2014, not the current 2024 one for some reason, has a full list of deities. It's a little overwhelming at first, but they got some categories to help you kind of pick and choose. You also find tons of options on the Dungeons and Dragons wiki or source books from other settings. Some gods, like Selûne, have deep lore, stories, symbols, personality traits, and a presence in other media like Baldur's Gate 3. But other gods, like Torm, I guess, he doesn't have so much, and that's okay. Take what you can and build from there. Flesh out their goals, how they speak, even their human form. You're the Dungeon Master, and this is your canvas. Dungeons and Dragons is not limited to the Forgotten Realms. The game's multiverse includes Greek gods, North gods, even Egyptian gods in some settings. If your world has portals, planar, travel, or cosmic weirdness, you can absolutely have Odin and Lolth the Spider Queen in the same campaign. Just use it what you see fit. Actually, Odin and Lolth, that sounds, I'm gonna write that down. Make your gods characters, not just stat blocks. One of the best ways to use gods is to treat them like people, and mind flayers, but mostly people. Distant, strange people, but people nonetheless. Bahamut the Platinum Dragon God has a known human form and sometimes walks the world. That means your Bahamut worshipping paladin might meet their god in disguise while traveling. This is such a great moment. It'll be a quiet interaction with a bit of wisdom and a test of character. And maybe this will happen during the encounter, or maybe a few sessions later, but something in that paladin's mind will click. That paladin will eventually realize that this old man that he's helping with directions is his god. Or was his god if he didn't realize right away and it's been a few sessions and he's like, oh no, oh no, I missed that. I I'm that was my guy. Here's one idea that I love. What if a player character is secretly the child of a god? Maybe they were raised by a cleric mother and no one knew who their father was until divine signs starting to appear. A blessing comes easier. A monster flinches at their touch, or some religious priest recognizes them, even though the player has no idea who this guy is.
I'm a god. Mother knew? She was a god too?
No. She was mortal, but she knew my true nature.
I'm a god.
Now, you don't have to make this now demigod player any more powerful than the others. They can still be that level 4 ranger or whatever they're playing with no extra buffs. This is more of a flavor, roleplay, story type twist rather than an upgrade in power. This is the twist that works great for a long-term story arc. Drop clues slowly, build tension, and when it finally comes to find out that their father is actually Lathander, it hits hard. You just added divine drama with the personal stake. And that also creates a new quest line over why didn't my mom tell me about this? And does my father know who I am? Boom, new quest line. Unless your story is about the gods, they shouldn't be solving major battles or taking over the plot. If your party's fighting the adult black dragon that they've been tracking down, it doesn't really make sense for Selûne to just show up as soon as you encounter this dragon just to blast it for you into the moon. Because this takes away the player's agency. Let the gods give advice, blessings, signs here and there, have them point out the way to go, but keep their power on the edge of the story, not right in the middle. Want to make your gods feel present without having them walk on a stage? Use temples and churches. Let your players pray. If they say something thoughtful or in character, ask for a religious check. Maybe even give them advantage if it was particularly heartfelt. A high roll could lead to a whispered phrase in the candlelight, a glowing sigil, or even a faint glimpse into their god's form. Hey, if it's a natural 20, maybe your god just appears in the room to answer exactly what they asked in their prayer. Or just let them know it's gonna be okay. Or maybe they're weak, give them a little heal. Unless your god is like the Raven Queen, where maybe she's like, well, I'm the god of death, so I'm gonna kill someone in the room. Not a player. That's a dick move on the Dungeon Master's party. We're just killing a player because someone else prayed. But you know, the janitor, he can die, I guess. When these gods appear, you're not just rewarding mechanics, you're building a connection between your player and the god they're praying to. Praying could also lead to maybe a reveal that the person that you have been praying to isn't actually your god that's listening in.
Charlie? What's wrong?
Like I mentioned before, there are an overwhelming amount of gods in Dungeons & Dragons, and a lot of them have similar tactics, similar ideals, and they sound similar too. So maybe you can have your prayer to Shar be heard by a different dark god, and that dark god decides to answer the prayer instead. Visuals that show gods matter is important. Churches and temples, and even holy symbols or tattoos in your world help show that the gods exist. These visuals don't just set the scene, they reinforce your lore. A village with a statue of Shantae? That's likely going to be a farming town. A marketplace with a shrine to Joaquin? They care about trade and wealth. A clear sign of Ilsenine, the great and powerful brain. That's your sign that are not very particularly evil, but actually a very friendly and just looking to make some friends and grab brunch on the long weekends type of mind flayer might be nearby and available on the long weekend for brunch. These details do a lot of the heavy lifting. Reminder just to keep them rare. When it comes to gods, less is more. The rarer they appear, the more magical it feels when they do. Most of the time, gods should speak through dreams, omens, weather, or signs.
What's the matter? Scared of a little lightning? I'm not overly fond of what follows.
But the day your players actually meet one, that's a campaign-defining moment. When I say bring your gods to your campaigns, I don't mean make every session have a god appear, but I do mean show signs every few sessions. If your gods will appear maybe, let's say, every 10 sessions or so, have signs that other gods exist, like churches, symbols, and other cleric NPCs that pray to other gods spread out every 2 or 3 sessions. Just helps with world building. Dungeons & Dragons gods are not just a campaign flavor, they're a tool to deepen your characters, expand your world, stir up drama in ways that no other NPC can. So, if you've been ignoring the divine, maybe it's time to let your players hear a whisper from the stars. Or from a bunch of spiders that crawl into your room because Loth the Spider Queen is letting you know that she just hooked up with Odin. Yeah! Thank you for watching. New Dungeons & Dragons videos every single week, usually on Thursdays. Even though I have a decent amount of catalog of videos out at the moment, I'm still very new to Dungeons & Dragons YouTube community. I've been a Dungeon Master for over 10 years and I've written down so many video ideas that I really want to just put out into the world. So please, let me know what you think. Subscribe for more. Every like, comment, and subscribe has helped me so much, letting me meet Algae Rhythm as he brings me over and shows more people my stuff, and it's made me build what feels like my own little community here already for Dungeons & Dragons. So thank you. I cannot say thank you enough. This has been a great time so far, and I can't wait to continue. See you next week!